The story of the dollar is not merely the story of money. It is the story of human ambition, of trust, of power quietly shaping the world in ways that few ever notice. Its origins lie in the aftermath of catastrophe. When cities lay in ruins, economies teetered on the brink, and nations struggled to stand again. In that fragile moment, the United States stood tall. Its factories were intact, its cities unbroken, and its people carried a mixture of hope, ingenuity, and resilience. Out of this environment, the dollar was born, not just as currency, but as a promise, a symbol of trust that could stretch across oceans and generations, shaping commerce, influence, and destiny without ever speaking a word. Before we continue, take a moment to subscribe and join us on this journey, exploring the hidden forces and untold stories that define our world. Here, we uncover the currents beneath history, the subtle powers that guide nations, and the invisible threads that connect every corner of the globe. At first, the dollar moved quietly, threading itself into the daily lives of people who may never have known its full power. Traders in distant ports, merchants in crowded bazaars, and farmers tending their fields all came to understand its weight and reliability, even without knowing the breadth of its reach. Slowly, invisibly, it became the lifeblood of global commerce, moving from hand to hand, city to city, continent to continent. Its influence was subtle, almost imperceptible, yet absolute, like a river running unseen beneath the surface of the world. The dollar's reach became undeniable when it entwined with the world's most vital resource, oil. Across deserts, over mountains, through vast oceans, deals were struck not with armies or threats, but with contracts, trust, and silent understanding. Every shipment carried more than energy, it carried influence. Factories in Europe, cities in Asia, streets in Africa, all were touched by the greenback. The dollar became a force invisible to the eye yet central to the functioning of the modern world, shaping decisions, economies, and futures with quiet power. Decade after decade, the dollar reigned. When storms of financial uncertainty struck, when wars erupted or political upheaval shook nations, the world turned to it. The dollar became a sanctuary, a quiet friend in turbulent times. Even when America itself stumbled, banks faltering, markets trembling, the dollar endured. It was more than paper. It was a foundation, a symbol, a constant in a world of uncertainty. Yet no empire remains unchallenged forever. Across oceans and continents, nations began to question the monopoly of a single currency. Why must one nation's decisions ripple across the entire globe? Slowly, alternatives emerged. In Europe, leaders envisioned a unified currency that could rival the dollar. In Asia, nations explored pathways to reduce dependence on foreign influence. In the digital realm, innovators imagined a world where money could exist beyond borders, beyond empires, beyond kings. Each step was small, subtle, yet together they suggested a world where the dollar might one day share its throne. Within America, the crown of the dollar grew heavier. Political divisions deepened. Debates over debt and governance revealed cracks in the armor of certainty, and the world watched closely. Across oceans, rivals quietly prepared, creating trade pathways, signing contracts outside the dollar's reach, and constructing financial architectures that could one day rival its influence. China moved with patient precision, extending its reach like rivers feeding into oceans. Roads, ports, railways, and trade networks stretched across continents. Its currency, once confined within borders, began appearing in distant markets. Slowly, deliberately, it offered an alternative narrative, a story of ambition, strategy, and power that complemented, rather than confronted, the dollar. Yet the dollar's roots run deep. Generations of trust, commerce, and human belief anchor it firmly. When uncertainty strikes, when fear grips markets, the world does not rush to alternatives. It returns to what it knows, the green paper that has long been the anchor of global exchange. The crown remains, heavy yet steady, a symbol of enduring influence, worn by a king that has withstood crises, challengers, and centuries of change. The story unfolds across continents, decades, and centuries, in ways both grand and intimate. In New York, Traders watch screens flicker with numbers guiding fortunes worldwide. In Shanghai, quiet offices finalize deals shaping distant lives. Oil tankers glide across oceans, their cargoes carrying influence, power, and trust. Boardrooms in far-off capitals draft policies whose ripples reach villages, cities, and markets thousands of miles away. The dollar flows through it all, silent yet decisive, shaping destinies with subtle, unstoppable force. This is not merely a story of currency. It is the story of human ambition, of nations, leaders, and ordinary citizens participating in a drama that moves quietly but shapes billions of lives. The dollar embodies negotiation, influence, and power without force. Its presence is subtle, yet it dictates outcomes with the certainty of a river carving valleys over centuries. Perhaps the dollar will not fall suddenly. Perhaps its reign will continue, but now shared with others. The world may evolve into a system of multiple currencies, each telling its own story, influencing trade and power in unique ways. The crown may be shared, but the dollar will remain central, not through dominance alone, but through the legacy it has built and the trust it continues to command. Its story continues in the hum of global markets, in quiet offices, in invisible threads connecting continents. It is a tale of vision, ambition, and human connection, shaping the world in ways most will never see. As rivers of power twist, converge, collide, and flow side by side, one truth remains. The dollar lives, influential and enduring, a king whose story is far from over. Night falls over bustling cities, and dawn breaks over distant markets. The dollar continues its journey, moving unseen yet shaping nations, leaving footprints on the landscape of history. It is more than money. It is the pulse of human ambition, the shadow of centuries, the quiet king whose influence will be felt for generations. Empires rise and fall. Nations innovate, conflict, and collaborate. New stories emerge. And through it all, the dollar flows, steady, unseen, resilient, shaping decisions, lives, and destinies in ways no single person or nation could ever fully comprehend. The story is still being written. Every day adds a new chapter to a narrative that continues to define the modern world, the heartbeat of global power, and the invisible force that connects us all. From distant deserts to teeming metropolises, from quiet villages to towering skyscrapers, the dollar has been present, influencing events, shaping dreams, and binding the world together. Its journey is ongoing, and its tale is far from finished. Even as new challengers rise and empires shift, the green paper continues to flow, enduring, shaping, and defining the story of humanity itself.